Blessings, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Night Alive. Welcome to A Life of Your Spiritual Power. And welcome to tonight's topic, which is session 3 of our 7-session series on radical self-care for your body, your mind, and your spirit. Very timely topic during the holiday season. It's a rough time for a lot of people. And there are ways that we can practice radical self-care and mitigate the negative impact of the holiday season. And of course, more importantly, is if we practice this kind of self-care all the time, we would mitigate most of life's stresses and anxiety-producing events. So my name is Reverend Denise Schubert. I am a New Thought minister. I reside in Naples, Florida, currently serving the Unity of Naples Church community. And this is going into my 4th or 5th year of live streaming on Sunday nights. I started during COVID when I was locked down like everyone else and needed an outlet for myself. And so I've been doing this for a while. I appreciate your presence here with me. Before I bless our time together, please take a minute to say hello. Otherwise, it's just me talking to me, which is, it's like, hello, is anyone out there? So Casey, oh my God, Casey, so happy to be with you. So I had a church in North Carolina. I've had a church in Northwest Arkansas. I worked in California for many years. And so I have friends really from everywhere. So I'm so grateful that you're here tonight. So let me just speak a word of blessing upon us first and foremost. I don't know, life is getting busy for me here. The holiday season is upon us. It's hard for me to believe that Thanksgiving is this coming week. It's like seriously this coming week. So we get to begin with gratitude and Thanksgiving even now. Hi, Brian and Jim. So happy to see you. So let's take a breath and kind of lean into our awareness of our connection to each other, our awareness of the connection between ourselves and the one who created us, by whatever name you wish to call that one, and also to bless our time here together tonight. So take a deep breath, maybe the deepest breath you've taken all day, maybe, just feel yourself inside yourself. Feel your connection to each other. We're here. Right now we represent a small collection of souls who have come together that will never come together in this configuration again. I realize that some people may watch this later on and some people will join us. But here we are together. So soften your personal boundaries, open your hearts and your minds, and let us lean into for a moment our awareness that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that we live in an atmosphere of unconditional love and perfect peace, regardless of the appearance on the outside, that we are here to enjoy, to grow, to glow, to give our gifts and talents. So it is from that place of community and from that place of connection that I simply just bless our time together, calling it good and very, very good, knowing that we are both blessed by and a blessing to this event, and that there is something of value here, that we are not wasting our time. We're here as on-purpose beings, called to, appointed to this moment of spiritual insight and growth. And so for the blessings to come, I do give thanks. We let this be, and so it is. Amen. So it is, amen. Let me shut down my mail so that we can be undisturbed. All right. So happy to see you. I just did this conversation is, as always, shows up as more important in the doing of it than it was in the conceiving of it, because it is quite a stressful time for people. And it's also a time I've been reminded, this may not be obvious to you, but it's kind of obvious, a little bit like full moons are obvious. So you probably won't all know this, but when there's a full moon, things happen out of the ordinary. The full moons cause more accidents, uh, more emergency room visits, uh, more people die on full moon nights. So there's kind of a craziness that goes along with full moons for whatever esoteric reason. It's also true with the holiday season that November, December are traditionally months of increased people choosing to transition, increased visits to the emergency rooms. It's just a high impact season for all of us. And so I love that you're here with me and that we can just simply explore it a bit together to see if we can find some tools and some ways of moving through the holiday season with less stress. Now, I've been calling this series Radical Self-Care for the holidays and beyond. The self, we're on session 3. So the first session, we kind of dealt with the baggage we have around the word selfish, because sometimes self-care amplifies or triggers some childhood definition we have about selfish, where we were admonished about being selfish. We were taught that being selfish was bad and wrong and evil. And in order to care for the self, in order to care for yourself, do what's best for you and not for the tribe, to do what's best for you and not the people you love, sometimes goes against the grain of what we've been taught about what it means to be selfish. So we're not really talking about narcissism or selfishness in such a way that means you don't care about or love people. In fact, I would say that the more you practice radical self-care, the more able you are to give genuine and authentic love and support to other people. You cannot do that when you are depleted or disenchanted or anxious or depressed or angry. That actually leads to a kind of self-exclusion from society. So the more you take care of yourself, the better you take care of yourself, the more you fill your cup, the more you will have to give to other people, the more you will have to give to the world at large, the bigger difference maker you can be, and the more successful you will be in your personal and professional life. So it's important. It's important. Now, as a reminder, we're talking about radical self-care on 3 levels because you are a 3-level entity. Whether you know that or not, or believe that or not, or think that or not, you are. You are, first and foremost, a spirit. So let's start there. You may think you're just a body, or you may think you're just a temporary accident, or you may think that this whole thing is finite, but that is not true. You are a spiritual entity. So you are, I would say that you are an embodied spirit. And your spirit, by the way, part of what can make this whole conversation lighter, like lighthearted, and not as dire as it sounds, is the awareness that as a spiritual entity, as an essence, unique and individualized, personalized expression of God or spirit or love or life, whatever word you want to use that doesn't trigger you, because my desire is not to trigger you, is that you are whole, perfect, and complete now, then, and always. That there is nothing in this lifetime that will destroy your spirit, harm your spirit, dampen your spirit. There's nothing that has happened, can happen, or will happen that can mess with your essential wholeness and goodness, and your eternality, that you are not an entity that is born, lives, and dies. You're not that. You are an entity that appears in this body, lives in this body, disappears from this body, and continues on. Very, very important awareness to lighten up the conversation, a very important awareness to lean into and breathe into all that this incarnation has been for you so far. Because what this incarnation has been to you so far, without a spiritual component, is you were born into a family, into a culture, into a teaching, into a religion. And out of that, you created a personality, a way of being in the world as a conditioned being. And without a spiritual awakening, you will live your entire life that way and die that way, after which you will be completely resurrected and happy. I was reminded of a teaching by Abraham Hicks today, in that they said, and I love this, by the way, I love Abraham Hicks, by the way, because they teach a theology of joy, and one which I believe is more true than anything I have ever heard, which is that we come into the bodies, we experience this life, and no matter how hard it's been, no matter how terrible you might think it is or was, no matter how challenging it has been, that at the moment of your death, at the moment of disappearance, meaning your soul or your spirit leaves your body and goes back to where it came from, you are rolling in the clouds of heaven, laughing at how hard you made it. And that immediately we are restored to our full, unconditionally loving being that we are now, have always been, and will always be. So what that does, if you can embrace that idea, what it does is lighten you up, because you can't really get this wrong. You cannot make a mortal mistake. You can't really frig it up. We just are moving through our years, and who knows how many years we have. Some people, a good friend of mine, her father just died at 82. As I told you last week, my sister-in-law's mother died. I don't know how old she was, and I think in her 70s. My sister-in-law's son died last week at 43. People, the bodies the bodies expire in all kinds of different ways on this planet, at different ages, different circumstances. But the spirit itself is birthless and deathless and timeless. So we can bring a kind of lightheartedness to the story if we want to. Now, your body is not who you are. Your body is your ride. It is your transportation. It is the way you live in this dimension, and with your senses, your experiential senses, we get to enjoy this planet. We get to enjoy being inside the body. Now, I don't know what it's like to be outside the body, because nobody ever talks about it, and we don't really know much about it. And that whole side of our experience remains a secret to us, really. Not so much as it used to be. I believe there will be a moment where we will understand completely. But in order to arrive on Earth, you need a body. So we climb into these bodies. And by the way, I also believe that we choose. And we choose whether to be a man or a woman. We choose whether to be white or purple. We choose whether to be born and raised in Asia or in the United States. I do believe this, that there are no accidents, that nothing is haphazard or chaotic, that you are an intentional, soulful being, and that your life is an intentional, soulful act. But we need the bodies. So think tonight's particular topic. Last week we talked about self-care of the body, And it really, the body itself is a miracle. I wanted to share this quote with you. It's from Sadma Guru Sadma. Let me get it. Sadguru, who teaches a course called Inner Engineering. And he says this. He says, to sleep, to eat, reproduce, and die is a waste of the body. He says, for this, you could have been any creature. And what he means is, all living things do these things. All living things eat, reproduce, and die. Truly. And I've spent so many weeks and months in Africa and in the animal kingdom and in nature. And every single living thing, no matter how big or how small, does these 4 things. They eat, they sleep, they reproduce, and they die. But he says, for this, you could have been any creature. But this form, meaning the human body, comes with a different possibility. This is a sophisticated form, he says. I added capable of thought, decision, will, choice, invention, and creation. Do you understand? Lions cannot do this. Rocks cannot do this. Trees cannot do this. We as human beings have a very, very interesting and special role to play in creation. Now, so in the case of the body temple, which we covered last week, but just to recap, the covering is it is a machine, a perfectly designed, amazing, awe-inducing, miraculous machine. It digests food, it eliminates food, it circulates blood, it circulates lymph fluid, it beats, the heart beats, you breathe. It knows how to make a baby, it knows how to create sperm. The body is an amazing work of spiritual science by a creator that we cannot even really begin to understand, but we can begin to understand a little bit by being aware of what a miracle the body itself is. But your body is a delivery system for the spirit. It is not who you are. But the body as an organism, as a carbon-based thing, needs it needs self-care. It needs care, right? And we talked about this last week. It needs the right amount of nutrition. It needs good nutrition. It needs sleep. It needs water. It needs exercise. It needs sunlight. In order to function perfectly, it needs these things. And you were born for it to function perfectly, and it would function perfectly, except, we messed it up, right? We mess it up. We mess it up with the wrong food. We mess it up with not drinking enough water. We mess it up with sitting on the couch too long. We mess it up with all kinds of processed foods. Now, does that mean you shouldn't do all those things? Drink too much alcohol or take drugs? Or does it mean that you shouldn't do all those things? Well, you'll have to decide that for yourself. But what is important is for you to know that the body is under your care. Now, some things are beyond your care, like pollution is kind of beyond your care, though not completely. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the living on Earth itself has its own drawbacks because the Earth itself is not really not really body friendly. But fortunately for us, the mind and the spirit actually trump a little bit what goes on in the body. It has an enormous influence. So tonight's topic is really about the mind and the brain. Your brain is a part of your body, not a part of your spirit. I'll say that again. So your brain belongs to the body. It is an organ that the body uses to live. Your spirit needs the brain to live on this earth. The body could not survive without a brain inside the body, which is really governs your breathing, your heartbeat, governs your endocrine system, it governs your hormones. It does all the heavy lifting for your body. It also serves as a place of memory. But it's way more like a computer than anything special. Like, think of it like a hard drive. So your brain has some software that has been, I would now call it firmware, where as a child, you inherited all kinds of information and knowledge and beliefs and opinions and judgments, and you figured out how it works around here, and all of that became your operating system. And until you awaken to your spiritual identity and choose a new way, it will govern your entire life. And you will think that it's the right thing and the most logical thing, but the brain is an organ. And you have something beyond the brain, which will impact the quality of your life, which is your mind and your spirit. So we've already talked about the spirit a little bit, and we'll come back to that in a week or two. But right now, I want to talk about the value of your mind and how radical self-care of your mind can not only exalt or elevate your life experience, but it can also deal with a lot of what's going on in your body, especially if you're not perfect with your body. And in fact, it may be true that the mind has more influence over the health of your body, the vitality of your body, the well-being of your body than the food and the water, the sunshine and the exercise. But you don't want to do one without the other. But the good news is that spirit trumps the conditioned self. Spirit trumps the ego. So no matter how you've been conditioned by your environment, you can, through your will, your ability to choose and decide and act, not only reverse health conditions and circumstances, but also create them. So your mind and your spirit actually ultimately have dominion over your body. So while your brain is in your body taking care of things in exactly the way it's supposed to, in exactly the same way your liver takes care of things, your heart takes care of things, your pituitary gland, your gallbladder, your liver, every aspect of your body is designed to support a thriving, living, blissful body and experience on this earth. However, the mind, I want to now draw a distinction between the mind and the brain. So the brain is an organ and your brain belongs to you. So your body's hard drive and operating system are unique to you. Nobody else has your memories. Nobody else has your experience. Nobody else, do you understand? It's like your brain is part of your personal real estate in the same way that your body is part of your personal real estate. Now, you are not your brain and you are not your body. You have them and you are using them in order to navigate your life experience. But then we come to the mind, and the mind is very interesting, and it is your power play in life, really, because it is your point of choice and your point of power. It's your point of your way of repudiating any false programming in your brain and of exercising what Sadhguru is talking about, in that we're not the kind of being who eats, reproduces, drinks water, and dies. That's not who we are. We are creators. We are evolvers. We are difference makers. We are participants in a planetary experience, an experiment, expression in love and well-being and happiness. So, so the mind, you do have you do have a personal version of mind. You are also part of a web of mind, that your mind and my mind, your mind is not personal. My mind is not personal. My brain is personal. Your brain is personal, but we share. Think of mind as the air we breathe, or think of mind as the ethers. Think of mind as the consciousness, collective consciousness, that we all participate in one mind. This is very, very good news. Uh, well, probably not very, very good news. Very, very good news. It's very, very good news because it is through the use of your mind, you can alter the function of your brain and your body. Bruce Lipton wrote a book called The Biology of Belief, and it's kind of a dense, he's a doctor, and he's a scientist. So the book itself is a little bit too dense for me personally to read. But the part about the biology of belief that I loved was his statement that the thoughts we hold in mind, the way that we think, how we think, what we think, all have an impact on the body temple. And you know this, we all know this already. There is a body-mind connection that is irrefutable. He says that if you're living in a paradigm of negativity or hatred or regret or resentment or anger or of hopelessness or fear or doubt or worry or lack, that all that thinking and all that experience releases toxic chemicals into your body, non-life affirming chemicals, ones that cause disease, ones that cause cancer, ones that cause heart problems, one that cause diabetes, ones that cause depression. That what we think and how we think have an irrefutable effect on our physical well-being and our mental and emotional well-being. Are you with me? He conversely says that when you live on the positive side of life, when you are accentuating the positive, when you are living in a state of positive expectation, meaning good things are going to happen to me, the world is salvageable, the world will find its way out of this mess we've created. When you are loving yourself and loving other people, forgiving your past, and looking forward to your future, your brain secretes life-affirming chemicals into your body, which can actually heal physical conditions, mental conditions, and emotional conditions. So how you use your mind is critical to your experience of living on earth in this body. Now, keep in mind, we're not talking about whether it matters whether you live 10 years, 40 years, or 100 years. We're talking about the quality of your being. Is it fun? Are you happy? Do you feel love? Are you giving love? Are you getting love? Are you feeling like you're evolving and growing? Do you feel happy with yourself and with others? That's the quality of your life. Way more important than the length of your life. Do you agree? Yes, right? The quality of your everyday existence, way more important than how long you live. We all know people who live very short lives, but who were amazingly happy and made a difference to the people around them and feel as if they fulfilled their purpose, even though it might have only been 3 decades instead of 8 decades. We also know people who are in their 80s and 90s who are cranky and miserable and unhappy and resentful and, who who shine no light on their incarnation. Now, does in the end, Abraham Hicks would say, on the other side of your transition, we're all rolling in the mud laughing at how hard we made it. So it doesn't matter whether you live this incarnation happy or live this incarnation miserable. Either way, you are going to be fine. You're going to wake up and say, oh dear, I made this hard, and you're going to get another chance. But for me personally, I want this lifetime to be worth living. And I want it to be more happy than not happy, more difference making than not difference making. Yes? Do you agree? You want that as well. So there are things that we can do now that we've established that the mind has so much influence over our overall health and well-being. What are the self-care practices that you can apply to your mind? How can you care for care to care to care means the provision of whatever is necessary for the health, welfare, maintenance, and protection of something. So to care for your body is to provide whatever is necessary for the health, maintenance, and protection of your body. To care for your mind is to provide whatever is necessary for the health, care, welfare, and maintenance and protection of your mind, which, as we've just discussed, also protects your body and also protects your spirit. So we'll just talk about this for a few minutes. One is to accentuate the negative, accentuate the positive, and minimize the negative. And you can do this in many, many ways, but it could be not hanging around really negative people, not engaging in conversation in which people are being trashed or annihilated or judged or made wrong. It could mean not watching the news. My teacher, Michael Beckwith, taught me early in my spiritual awakening 25 years ago, and he still teaches to this day, that if you watch the news and it upsets you, turn it off. That the only way of watching the news that can add value to your life, if it upsets you, which it cannot add value if you walk around upset. So negativity, depression, anxiety, doesn't matter whether it's local or global. If something global causes you anxiety, minimize it, because there's not too much you can do about it anyway. So unless you hear the news as a call to prayer or a call for blessings, don't watch it if it upsets you, if it triggers you, if it causes you to spiral into, I don't know, life's going to hell in a handbasket. What's the point? And this is not a stupid conversation, because if you talk to young people, many, many young people, millennials, 20s, teens, young adults, 20s and 30s, they have a pretty dismal view of what the world can and will be for them and their families. That dismal view isn't realistic. It's messes with your well-being. Because you and I are not victims of a world that doesn't work. We are creators of a world that works. We are the creators of a world that works. And we can't do that from a place of resentment or anger or unforgiveness. So accentuate the positive, avoid negativity. Avoid it. Just don't engage. Turn it off. We are called to stand guard at the portals of our mind. Don't let the poison in. Don't let it in. You can choose. Just because somebody says something doesn't make it true. Just because it's been that way for 1,000,000 years doesn't make it true. That truth is defined by our consciousness, individually and collectively, for our own lives and for the world. So you want to feed the brain happy, healthy thoughts and ideas. That's what you want to do. So read books that inspire you. Watch nature shows. Go hug some trees. Get out in nature. Go fishing. Dig in the dirt. Volunteer in a way somewhere that makes you feel good about yourself. All of this positive influence begins to cause the secretion of feel-good hormones that will influence your well-being on every level of your being. We cannot really accentuate too much the importance of forgiving your past, of forgiving the people in your past, all of them, whether your past was yesterday or 52 years ago. It doesn't really matter. That people, here's the deal, you included, people who don't know that they're more than their bodies and their brains will live in this human experience as if it's all there is. And the truth is that if it's all there is, it's a little dismal, right? So we haven't really done, Jesus and the Buddha, and Muhammad, all of these masters came and spent their lives trying to teach us principles for living, try to teach us and show us ways of being that would eliminate the majority of hardship and heartache and war and murder and all of the things that we do that are absolutely crazy. Do we do those crazy things? You bet. Do spiritually awakened people do those crazy things? Never. A spiritually awakened being, meaning a person who has seen that they are not their brains and not their bodies, but that they are made in the image and likeness of unconditional love, that they are eternal. They do not do harm. If they're doing harm, it's a false prophet. If they're doing harm, I'm not talking about the ones who kill in the name of God. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the true connection to your spiritual identity. So you want to forgive people for not knowing that they're more than they think they are. Does that mean you tolerate, or tolerate's the wrong word. Does that mean you affirm their righteousness of their behavior? Of course not. It's never okay to harm other people or animals or the earth. It's not okay. It's just what people who don't know that they're worth loving, that the earth is worth loving and that they're worth loving, that's just what happens. But it will never change if you and I don't change. The only thing that will ever change the landscape of what it means to be incarnated in bodies on this earth with 8 billion other people is a change of consciousness within you and within me. So nobody wants to be that way. They just are that way because they were mistreated or abused or taught wrongly, or have never experienced love or kindness, compassion, beauty, a tender heart. That's up to us. That's why we're here. It's why we're coming together in order to do that. So this idea that we are each of us born innocent. You were born innocent. You are not born in original sin. That's a very damaging idea. You were born in original blessing, and then it got messed up somehow by the world not knowing what it is or who we are. But you have a mind that is connected to God's mind, in which you can download truth. You can download and have revelations about what it means to be awakened, what it means to be happy in the face of adversity, the power of your positive expectation. So that really is our topic for tonight. So our topic for tonight is radical self-care of the mind. The bottom line is that you are in charge, that the mind transcends the brain and the body, that there is a part of you that can watch you, observe you, see you, and that you want to cultivate that aspect of yourself because it is the only part of you that can create, that can invent, that can decide and choose, that can commit to a course of being and doing that is loving and supportive of your own well-being and the well-being of everyone around you. Yes? All right. So we're moving into Thanksgiving week. Remember that when you're with your families or you're with people, you're also, when you step into a family gathering or even a holiday gathering where your family is not there, but all of us have many, 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 many years of memories in our subconscious and unconscious minds, in our brains. And for many of us, those memories and those triggers are not 100% pleasant. For many of us, people have died with whom we spent many holidays with, whether it's your parents or your grandparents or siblings or ex-husbands. All of this can push buttons in us that nobody else installed, but they're there nonetheless. These triggers, by the way, can get eliminated through intentional commitment on your part to live in a more positive way. But just know, when you go into the holidays, if you're in rooms where you get triggered, hold your tongue and breathe. Go back to your breath. Just breathe into, I am more than this. I am more than this. I am not my history. I am not my past. I'm not what my parents said. I'm not what was done to me. I'm not what I've done to others. Really, you must say these things to yourself. You must become, just think of all the hundreds of dollars it will save you to become your own best life coach, your own best reminder that you are more than this. Do you remember our affirmation from last week? Yeah. So this is our affirmation. Let us read it together. Nobody can see you, so don't feel like a fool. I feel like a fool, but you can hear me. But let's say it together. Today, I wrap my humanity in my divinity. I release any thought, habit, behavior, or situation where I am merely tolerated and not celebrated. From this day forward, I will practice radical self-care and allow myself to be outrageously supported. I give myself permission to be over the moon happy, healthy, and content. I let it be. As I let it be, it is. Amen. Anything that you can let be can let you be. I want you to remember this. Anything that you can let be will let you be. So any situation causing you heartache, anger, regret, unforgiveness, judgment, see if you can say, I let this be. I detach my brain and my body from it. I apply my spirit and my mind, and I watch it dissolve. I watch it soften. I watch it become less impactful on my own well-being. Yes. All right. So I'm going to pray us out. In the meantime, before I do that, if you are seeking spiritual support, you want to talk about it, you want to be heard by a loving, non-judgmental pair of ears, you want to explore how to practice more self-care for yourself, please reach out to me. I am so here, ready and available to spend time with you. You can do that through my email, which is revdschubert@gmail.com. You can go to my website and sign up for a life coaching session. If you want to support this ministry with your love offerings or your tithes, you can also do that through PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, or my website as well. All right, so I'm going to pray with you, but that concludes our radical self-care lesson for tonight. Next week, we will take another deep dive. That will be the Sunday following Thanksgiving. So some of you may need some extra prayer or not, but it's fun to get together regardless. So let's take a final breath together, please. Take a moment to release any tension you're feeling around anything, whether it's your work or relationships or your church, whatever, any tension anywhere, let it go, let it be. for a minute as we remember together your magnificent spirit, your whole perfect and well-designed body temple, and the gratitude for your brain, which allows you to learn how to cross streets and add numbers together and work. But to know that as this entire package, body, mind, and spirit, you are an amazing emissary of the divine. You are sent here by God to do God's work. You are sent here by life to love life, to live life, to absolutely enjoy the deliciousness of this earthly experience. And so it is from that place that I just close our evening together tonight with gratitude and thanksgiving, gratitude for being alive, gratitude for having bodies at all, gratitude for the experience, and for our capacity to change, our capacity to evolve in consciousness, our capacity to overcome our obstacles, our capacity to forgive our past. All of this makes us more palatable human beings for one another. That we are here to love and to receive love. Give love, receive love. Give support, receive support. That's why we're here. So go out into your week this week. Practice radical kindness, radical compassion, radical love. Relinquish all judgment of all things. Just be in your private, personal space with a calm heart and truly know that all is well. And so for this and so much more, I am grateful for you and for the time we've spent together tonight, and wish you a wonderful week and look forward to seeing you next time. So peace and blessings.